So the title is,
Our taste have changed over the years. Does it suck? I don't know.
ooh, see, I was going along that. I was thinking getting older sucks, but that doesn't address what we're going to talk about. But it
Getting older
does.
does suck.
It does suck.
Our taste, do our taste? I don't know. I don't know. You got us into this. You pigeonholed us in this sucky title thing.
Do the titles of these videos suck? No.
Yes. All right. So we know we're celebrating our 10th year of the podcast.
Woo!
And-
Go team.
I know. And so I've been doing a lot of personal reflection over my taste in games over the past, I guess we've been playing pretty hardcore for about 20 years now.
God, really?
Yeah, it's been that long. And so I was thinking about how my taste over the years have changed. And I've gone from one thing to another thing to another thing to where I think I've finally at my old age settled into a rut of things that I really like. And now my scope of games that I like, that I must have, must play, want to play is really small.
Okay.
I'm finding.
Well, I'm glad you've had this self-reflection, this wanting to do this reflection on how your games have changed. So when you pitched this to me, I started thinking about it. And I don't know if my game taste, because I've mentioned this on the show, has really changed over time. Because if I go back and I talk about, playing games growing up, when it was too hot to be playing outside and things like that, and I always went towards various games like Stratego. And then I've talked about when I went to a store and bought a bookshelf game, Panzer Leader.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I continue to look at my collection and how it is, I'm seeing that similar theme. So did I know something back when I was 14 years old? I don't know. But I will agree with you that what I have played or have been playing over the past 20 years has greatly changed.
Okay. Is it,
Okay.
has your taste changed?
Yes. And you know me best. And I think the reason why my taste has changed is because my length of time a game can last has changed.
That's fair. Fair. So one thing that used to draw me into the game was theme. When there's so many games to choose from, I was like, I don't know, this looks cool because I like the theme. I mean, I went out and on a whim bought the StarCraft board game strictly due to the theme. Now, that one game may have led to you. I don't like long games because that was a very long game.
No, that did not lead to that. That was very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. So no.
But then what I found out is I started buying all these games based on theme. That there's this running joke. It's like if something's based on like a TV theme or movie theme, the game is going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
In lots of cases, that was the case. And so me just strictly picking up a box and going, all right, just based on this box cover and what it's about, I think I'll get it and try it. And I found that just wasn't doing it for me. And I probably realized that maybe about 10, 12 years ago.
Okay. And see, you were in my wallet back then. So we would play a game and then I would want to add it to my collection.
Mm-hmm.
But I have found that for me, the length, the duration of the game, because playing StarCraft was enjoyable. But you and I had, because we could start late, we'd start at 8 p.m. at night and we could go till midnight, 1 o'clock. So
I think those may have been weeknight gaming nights too.
It could have been. It may have been Friday. It may have been. It had to be Friday because we worked Monday through Friday, of course. So it was a Friday night show up. But I do think it was what we enjoyed, and we enjoyed the various types of themes. Because Catan was a great game, or Catan, doesn't matter to me. But what was the theme?
Well, the only reason why I bought that game is because I did the thing of I was typing in what are the most popular board games, and that just kept floating to the top. That and Ticket to Ride.
Right.
So I got those two strictly based off Yahoo searches, which is probably what I was using back then.
Wow, that was pretty good. Yahoo, I like that.
Mr.
And then-
Jeeves or whatever it was back then.
Ooh, look at you! Not showing your age on this as you're getting older.
back when I was using my Netscape browser. Yeah.
Oh man, that was a good browser too. Okay. But so over the 20 years though, you're right. You and I were driving towards what seemed popular, and we were able to find out over those years what mechanics did we like. And did you ever have a particular mechanic? Has your mechanic choice changed over time?
So that's when this transition started happening, when I realized, wait a minute, the theme of the game is not what's really doing it for me, but some of the mechanics in the game is what I really like. And I remember really honing in. We played a ton of Puerto Rico, a mess of Puerto Rico. And that is, at its core, it's your basic resource collection, turning in resources, getting victory points, plus the idea of choosing a role and everybody gets to do a secondary function. So that was my first really jump into Euro. So I like the strategy of a spreadsheet. If I get this many resources here and I turn in these many resources to get victory points. So then I started diving into mechanisms.
Oh, I like how you did the little symbol for dive in.
I don't. Well, since there's a video cast of this, I can do some, some video stuff here. So yeah, if you're listening on the podcast, make sure to go follow us on our YouTube channel so you can actually see us in person. Well, no, you probably don't want to do that. Just stick to the audio.
Yes, I agree. But so you saw Puerto Rico. Then for me, it was the set collection and I always talk about this on the show, is just how much I loved Pillars of the Earth.
What's the first time you probably played that? Was it before we started the podcast or was it after?
Oh yeah.
It was before?
I think it was before.
Okay.
But then again, these past 10 years have been a blur.
I know.
Everything has compressed. I could have played that 2 years ago and it may have seemed like 10. I think know.
One of my early worker placement games was Lords of Waterdeep, and that really got me liking worker placement games.
Okay. And I remember playing Lords of the Waterdeep from back then, and learning about it. But that was right when we started the podcast.
But I feel like I played that before Pillars of the Earth. I could be wrong.
Oh. Well, I do know that I played Pillars of the Earth before you and I went to our first Origins together.
Okay. All right.
Because
so that's right at the beginning of the show, or right before the show started, or right at the beginning.
Because you remember at Mayfair, you had to play so many games and then you would get a discount.
That was so much fun. We had to collect the badges. If you could get a complete set of Catan resource badges, you got your name put onto a drawing. Oh man, that was so much fun. Yeah.
And you got 50% off. And I remember spending my 50% off on Nuns on the Run back then because I was looking for a big game for a lot of people. But I know I played World Without End, I think is the next one in that series. I'd have to look it up because suddenly the brain is confused with World of Warcraft. But I knew that I was looking for that next game in that series. So that's why I was thinking I played Pillars of the Earth before we started the podcast. But to that point, every game had to meet the same expectations, and it started me on the liking of the gather the resource, convert the resources, worker placement,
Standard Euro type thing.
Standard Euro type thing.
So what happened was as I got into those and really enjoying different types of Euros, I can't remember when we played Dominion, but that sucked me into, deck building games, which I tended to like. Mm-hmm. But as we got and started doing the podcast, all of a sudden we were playing a lot of this samey style games. A lot of the collect resources, turn them in for victory points. And then my eyes were starting to glaze over after a while because they were all a little too samey. Then it's like, well, but I can play this or this and kind of get the same feeling. So then I started going back to, well, maybe theme does interest me. And I think there was this turning point for me in 2016 when the Arkham Horror LCG game came out, because I like card games. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the theme of that game, but all of a sudden, not only was it very thematic, but the mechanisms there's a lot of resource management. It's a very thinky, strategic game. And then I started realizing, wait a minute, you mean it's possible for me to have a theme I really, really like and the mechanisms of the game I really enjoy? And that's what I've kind of converted to today, to where I need theme and I need something fun to play. And I know people are like, well, Marty, that's everything. It's like, but not, I don't know that it's really everything. I think there are a lot of Euro style games where the theme you see is pasted on. Pasted on themes, even though I may have enjoyed my time with it, will probably stay on the shelf more often than one with a theme I really like.
Okay. And I know that as I am shifting my focus, I am looking at what do I do over the next 5 to 10 years? And how am I? This is sad. Man, now you got me sad.
I'm sorry. Why?
Because I'm thinking about as my mental state deteriorates over time. Seriously. My ability to comprehend rule books, my ability to teach games. I'm seeing, I've loved in the 10-year span of us going from these very simple Ticket to Ride type games to complex, thought-provoking, engine-building, constantly thinking ahead on move after move after move. And now I'm beginning to see, well, you know what? As I continue to play these games outside of our little gaming group, my gaming group can't manage that. Mm-hmm. Nothing against them. It's just the time is not there. The patience is not there for trying to get one of those big thinky games out on the table, you know?
Right.
And so I'm looking at that. So where do I want to be? And in the past 3 years, I've shifted my focus to, okay, what games will I, when I want to get to game to the table with people, what do I need to have on my shelf? Meanwhile, for me, I'm looking at, and you're getting into these, are the historical games, especially the one player. And I've had historical games for a long time. Like I said, Panzer.
Yeah. And so I think that's where I wanted to have this discussion, because I've started realizing, why am I so into historical games? And I found that I've always liked history, and there are some really cool themes, games out there that's really interesting to me, but there's some really brilliantly designed games that are a lot of fun to play. And I'm finding in this little niche of historical games is kind of scratching both itches. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, on our Discord channel, we was talking about historical games, and somebody said, I just don't see how you get into it. It just looks so boring to me. And I totally get that.
Oh, yeah.
You're not into history or anything. And let's face it, this is something that a lot of people say. You pick up a lot of GMT boxes, and they ain't going to do it for you. You pick up the box to Andean Abyss, where there's a soldier on there with a gun, and it's just kind of black and white. It's like, why in the heck would I want to play this? Where right beside it was Cuba Libre, which is a coin game like Andean Abyss. And that one appealed to me more because it was a colorful box and also a theme that I knew, even though they're very similar in style. So no, I totally I don't get the appeal. But the thing is, I think it just comes down to, it's a theme that I'm interested in with a lot of really cool design ideas that make me really enjoy the game. Prime example, Undaunted, World War II, cool theme, interested in the theme and the history of the war, combined with one of my favorite types of games, deck building games.
But, which I'm with you, it's also games that I enjoy watching on TV. When I say this, stick with me.
Okay.
I'm a Star Trek fan. I know that. What's some of my favorite episodes? Anything to deal with changing time jumps, anything like that. The original Quantum Leap. And I look at TV shows that I've enjoyed where history changes. And these games give you that capability. You can change history. This battle has changed. You talk about the coin system. How can you influence Cuba's development or outcome? We talk about Watergate, 2-player game. You and I really love that game. How can we influence the Watergate? Can it change? You know, so any type of those type of games, which is, you know, over time, as I look back at this, when you say, hey, look at how yours changed, I'm like, but I've always liked games that have told me how I can change history.
Yeah. So, and people think, oh my gosh, you guys are going on a historical kick. So I got examples of games that are not historical that when I look back over the years, what games stuck out to me, it's because the theme meshed well with mechanics I like. prime example. Not historical at all. Netrunner. I thought Netrunner thematically was brilliant to bring in that dystopian hacker type thing to the table with really cool mechanisms. Lord of the Rings actually kind of did that for us. I just didn't realize at the time the idea of you got the Fellowship trying to go 9 sites. So, and I look back, I was like, wow, it's not just historical games. Heck, as a recording today, the GameFound just launched for Elder Scrolls. From Chip Theory Games. Dude, I am so psyched for that game. I know it's not until 2024. I love Elder Scrolls. I love the idea of building a character and like role playing. And I know that Chip Theory has some really, really good game mechanics and rules built in their games. So I'm super hyped for that. And it has nothing to do with history.
But that goes back to your video games. You talked about StarCraft. So would I be, if knowing how I am, if I saw that GameFound page and seeing that price point, would I be looking at you saying, I want that? The only reason why I do is not because of the games I've played previously from Chip Theory, is because of how much time I spent in Skyrim. How can I change that universe?
Well, to be fair, it's not Skyrim.
I know.
The only reason why I said that, I was watching a video from them today, and they said, y'all, there's not going to be any reference of Arrow to the Knee because it's a different timeline. It's from Elder Scrolls Online. And the only reason why I say it's because for myself, too, I kept saying Skyrim, I think, in our last episode when I was talking about it. It's just Elder Scrolls.
It's just Elder Scrolls.
But anyway, no, I am super excited. Now, here's the thing. You have another Elder Scrolls game. You do have a Skyrim game right now, don't you?
Yes, I do.
I was so on that because I just didn't know much about it. But I'm more interested in this from Chip Theory just because I trust them that the rules will be good.
But you also have shied away from legacies.
That's true. That's 100%. And campaign games.
Campaign. So over time, you're looking at, okay, there was that theory, that pandemic legacy. It was all these legacy games. Oh, this is a cool idea. Let's be able to do this. Isn't it neat to be able to have undiscovered rules and change things out? I still enjoy them. But the problem is I don't have a steady group to game with to do that. Right. I can't, that is a commitment of, 12 plays minimum. Yeah. And the last one I did was My City with our friends.
Go ahead.
With our friends, and we did it over Zoom because it was easy to do, kind of like you're doing the video with Cuba Libre. I was able to video the cards turning up, so it wasn't easy. But I have shifted now. Do we want to go back to any legacy games? That's not going to happen.
Right. You have really shifted towards, because you and Donna play a lot of 2-player games. It's like anytime we get a chance to check out a 2-player game, I know that you're super interested because you think, hey, here's something that you and Donna might enjoy.
Well, that's because I got to finish living with her. You and I, we're not in the apartment anymore, dude.
Well, no, I know that. I'm just saying that you said you're looking at the next 5-10 years and you're kind of curating your collection, and you're probably going to hone in on those games more often than you would say probably a legacy style game, just because of the chance of getting it to the table.
Yeah. So in 5 or 10 years, I expect you to have your shelves shifted a little bit to where when the boys show up.
Here's the thing: the boys aren't really playing board games anymore.
Oh, they're the D&D, aren't they?
Well, D&D and video games.
Video games, yeah. Okay. But when they come over for a family dinner, here you go. You're going to drop an hour and a half game. Here you go, guys. Let's play this game.
No,
okay,
fine. I won't. They're not really interested in that. And unfortunately for me, now, if I was to say, let's pull out a Commander deck and play Commander, they'll do that all day long. Okay. So I kind of have to, instead of lead them to play something with me, it's like if whatever they're interested in, I'll play with them.
So I know that, yeah. So what's the earliest that a Hobbit game can be played? By like 5?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I got a feeling those will start showing up on our shelves eventually here in about 10 years.
I mean, hopefully not anytime too soon.
You're not getting any younger, dude. You need to get these grandkids rolling in, man.
So back on topic. So I is talking about, for me, theme and mechanisms. And like last year, I see right over your left shoulder, you have Ark Nova on there. Probably considered the top game, if not one of the top games of 2022. I think it's a very clever game. I enjoy my time with it. But the theme I just didn't really care about. Right. And as I'm playing the game, it's like I'm enjoying the things I'm doing. And then when I put it away, I didn't think about it. Mm-hmm. And then I compare that to a game that we played just a couple months ago, John Company.
Woo.
Heavy game, but I kept thinking about it because the theme meshed so well with what we were doing in the game.
Right.
You know, and that I'm just finding those experiences stick with me when I can apply the theme with the game. And that's why I like Arkham Horror so much. Lord of the Rings LCG was really cool, but you're controlling a team of people, and I wasn't really attached to them, air quotes. In Arkham Horror, I'm playing this one character. He can never change, and he just keeps getting better. So it's like what I'm excited about Elder Scrolls, creating a character, making him better, and taking him on a little journey.
Right. Ark Nova, I heard it was best of 2 players. There you go.
Yeah.
That's why it's sitting on the shelves. Haven't done it yet. Haven't had the time to teach Donna this game. So, I mean, it's about zoos. Also, it's about zoos. I mean, how benign is that? But then if you look past the shelves, you see Memoir 44, D-Day Dice. You know, so there's the military game showing up again just because. That's why I enjoy all those. You know, we got the the David Thompson Undaunted series. You know, I'm thinking about also my future son-in-law. I'm like, he's in the military. Mm-hmm. He may not want to ever play him, but at least this will be something that can interest him. So yes, I'm thinking ahead. How has my taste changed over time? It's beginning to be structured around events in my life more than anything.
Got it. And what's interesting, unfortunately, I'm probably going to miss out on a lot of good games just because now the theme isn't catching me. Another hot game from 2022 was Flamecraft with the cute little dragons. And it's like, everybody says it's amazing. It's like, I just have no interest in playing. Okay. And it's just not grabbing. And I know before I get chastised and the comments and everything, if I sat and played it, because it's so well loved, I would probably like it too. I tend to like what people generally like. It's just the theme just never grabbed me. And I know we make the joke all the time about, oh, look, it's another nature themed game. It's just, there's so many out there, and there's probably a gem out there I haven't played, but the theme just isn't grabbing me. And I know somebody's going to say, well, Marty, it's the same thing with historical games. I get that. No, some people are going to be more drawn to nature games, which makes total sense. That's definitely a wider appeal than maybe an historical game, but it's just, that's personal preference at that point.
But for me, over time, I don't think theme has ever been a major part of my decision.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you never picked up a box and go, just because of what this is, I'm interested in it?
Okay. All right. Strike that. Yeah. Point. I mean, geez. Oh, it's a military box. Here it is. Okay.
Does it matter what military? Like, for example, middle-age combat, for some reason, interests me. I don't know why. And ancient combat. Romans, Greeks, Middle Ages, even
lend me your ears.
Yeah. Maybe even more so than possibly World War II. And maybe it's because of my ignorance of those. I'm just more interested to learning more about that. So is it any type of military conflict, or is there,
It's any kind of military conflict, but if I were to rank them, it would probably go, it would be World War II, and then we would put Vietnam conflict, and then we would move on down. And I think a lot of it has to do with, keep going down, is then go to the Knights and Napoleon conflicts, things like that. I think it comes down to the armaments that they have, where modern day combat just doesn't really interest me as much. And I don't know why. And the theaters, and we've gone from how our changed to our historical. You're on a historical gaming podcast type talk lately.
And I'm trying not to do that, y'all. I know that immediately that just turns people off, and I get it. But I think we're just trying to make the point is that theme really drives, well, me personally, into stuff that I like. even if it's not historical, it could be something else. It's just the theme is going to grab me more so as long as the game is. It has to be both. It's got to be both, or I'll play it once, twice, and maybe never again.
Yeah. But to your point, I would say at the beginning of the podcast, when we were looking at this, it was going to be theme or something that I knew about to draw me in.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, it then became, all right, what mechanic is there? What mechanic do I enjoy the most? That is the one that I'm going to gravitate towards. And then now I'm immediately grabbing the box, flipping it over. All right, it is X hours long, requires X amount of number of people to play, and here's the theme.
Yeah.
Or here's the mechanics that I can tell from the back. So that is what I'm looking at now.
So I'm the same way. Our requirements of what's going to stay on our shelf probably is getting narrower and narrower over time.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. As I look at them, yes, or what will come in on
Yeah.
the shelves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, because we've played so many games over the past 10 years, there may be a mechanic that I like, and 25 games that'll come out that year will have that mechanic. So that's like, well, I know I can play any sort of game, but which of these 25 am I going to hone in on? And it'll probably be towards the one with a theme that I like the most.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I will look for a time frame. I really will.
But you still, well, that's because of the group that you're going to play with. You still would be willing to play a longer game occasionally, I guess.
Oh yeah. Even though we make fun of me getting my Switch out and being grumpy when we have I love our Saturday game days, but even that has gone from 10 hours to 6 hours. Okay.
That's true.
and it's just, once again, I have gotten older to where it's like, okay, the brain has saturated, the gray matter has soaked up as much as it can. And am I overtaxing the system a little bit? If you put down, you always talk about ending a game, but if we I'm very excited that we're going to get to play an 18XX game.
Yeah.
Very excited. You just picked up Maria.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got the Civil War GMT game. I'm very excited for us to play that.
Yes, 100%.
So I'm looking forward to those, but do not put Maria on the table in an 18XX game. That ain't happening.
Right. We used to be able to open with a small game, a long game, small game, and now it's the long game only.
Yeah, we're doing the long game. That's what we're playing for.
We don't get to book in the long game with anything anymore. So let me ask you all this that have been watching. If you're watching on YouTube, what has your taste in games changed over the past 10, 15 years? And if you want to, you can join us on our Discord channel. Let us know your thoughts there. What are you into now? Is it theme? Is it mechanics? Is it a mixture of both? Are you just looking to have a good time? I think what it comes down to, I just want to have fun. And now my window of fun is kind of narrowed to what I see what's going to fit that hole.
And I think mine's an hour and a half.
Regardless of what it is, whether it's flaming dragons or whatever, it's
don't care.
An hour and a half.
Give me a good game mechanic. Get me some dice on the table for an hour and a half. I'll be a happy camper.
You good.